Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hey, before we get started, I have a call to action. If you haven't done it already, hit subscribe to the channel. I was shocked to find out that 94% of my views come from people that haven't subscribed to the channel. So just take 5 seconds, look at the subscribe below and hit it now. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in the first 2 months of this channel. We're getting really close. And by you taking 5 seconds to do that, it'll make a big difference. And I appreciate your help. Let's get started in today's video. It is about following the chips. You saw the stories today. We had a down day in the market. All indexes were down. Mag 7 companies were down. Gold was down. Bitcoin was down. But there was one sector that rose above and showed resilience in today's down market, and that was the memory sector. All 4 of our memory companies, Micron, SanDisk, Seagate, and Western, all showed positive growth and performance today. In fact, some of them showed double-digit dollar gains on the day. We're going to jump in and we're going to talk about it because today's market action just wasn't another random sell-off in big tech. It revealed a deeper narrative about the AI infrastructure cycle. The hyperscalers saw significant selling pressure today. And meanwhile, our memory stocks that I just mentioned saw significant gains. There are real fundamental reasons behind this divergence. We're going to talk about the big 3 that come to mind for me. Is the Cisco earnings and what did it mean and why it shocked investors, the Lenovo guidance or what they signaled around memory costs and how it will last all year. And then finally, we'll talk about a large memory company from the land of the rising sun, Kioxia, and the revenue that the earnings they reported today and the guidance they gave for next quarter and how it lifted the overall, all of the memory players today, particularly the ones here in the US. So we're going to jump into all of that. But first, I just want to show you the NASDAQ, what happened today. You can see on your screen, red across the board. I mean, there's a couple of big stories here, guys. Apple in particular one, down 5%. This was actually the second largest single day loss in the history of the company. They lost $200 billion in market cap for a couple of reasons. One is there's reports saying that their launch of their upgraded Siri and the Apple Intelligence platform could be potentially delayed till the end of this year or into the fourth quarter of this year. Apparently, there's some technical issues where it's reverting back to OpenAI's ChatGPT instead of relying on their own Apple Intelligence platform. We know they partnered with Gemini for that, so they're having some technical issues there that are causing a delay. But the other piece was going back to our memory providers. They've come out and said the cost of memory and storage for their devices, those costs of those memory and storage components have gone up almost 15%, which is putting pressure on their margins. It had a significant impact overall. We also, I want to call out 2 companies. You can see on the screen here on your left, just a quick view of all Mag 7 companies down. The indexes are the top 3. They were down. But Amazon and Microsoft, I'm calling them out specifically because technically they're in a technical bear market now. They are off. Their stock price where it's trading today is 20% lower than the recent high they've achieved. Amazon, in fact, has had 8 consecutive down days. They're just over 20%, almost 21% off of the high they've achieved recently. They're trading at $199 a share now. And Microsoft is down 26% from its recent high. Meta is really close to technically entering a bear market as well. They're only about 2%. If they drop another 2%, they will be down into this bear market as well with these other 2. So we're seeing significant pressure on our big Mag 7 companies, on some big mega cap companies. And let's jump in and talk about a couple reasons why. One is the Cisco earnings and guidance that I would say shocked the market today overall. Now, Cisco actually, their revenue exceeded expectations. They reported over $15 billion in Q2. But analysts and investors pounced on the weaker profit margins and the cautious guidance the company provided. Cisco's adjusted gross margins did not hit expectations. It was below expectations. And the company warned memory and component cost inflation, particularly from memory used in their AI networking gear, is continuing to squeeze margins. Cisco raised its full year revenue to about just over $61 billion, but margins are forecasted to shrink in the next quarter. Based on that, Cisco's shares plunged over 12% today. It was the worst single day drop in years for the company, and it signaled a broader sell-off in the tech sector. Now, the other one we saw today was Lenovo, and Lenovo, as you know, is a global server and PC maker. Lenovo, again, how this relates to memory providers, they warned that memory chip supply issues and pricing pressure will last throughout all 2026. In fact, they reported that memory cost inflation is so severe that it reduced their net income by 21% the latest quarter. And this is significant, and why it impacted, we saw a drop in my opinion, in the hyperscalers today, is because it directly pressures margins for these hyperscalers when they're building their data centers. It raises their future CapEx and operating cost assumptions. And it also creates uncertainty around near-term profitability. Based on what we heard from Cisco and Lenovo, as well as Honda came out today and talked about memory issues they're seeing as well. So this combination of news is caused a broader risk-off or a sell-off in tech. Traders rotated out of these long-duration growth stocks in favor of segments tied to tangible supply-demand fundamentals in today's market, and one of those segments is memory. So AI isn't slowing by any case at all. It's about the expectations changing in the market today around where the actual earnings, where the actual earning transactions show up first. And it's currently showing up right now in the bottleneck of the AI, which I've talked about, is memory. So let's take a look at what memory did today, and then we'll jump back and just take a look and talk about the big stories that impacted it. So let me jump over and take a look now. As you can see on your screen, this is Micron's overall day right here. So jumped out of the gate really strong. We actually closed the day about 414. We'll call it a share up, $3.63, just under a full share point. Not as strong a day as we had yesterday. Yesterday was a phenomenal day. I was actually really encouraged to see this performance today. I was coming in today thinking we'd see some sell-off, some profit taking, some weak hands that just wanted to unload the stock because they thought it would continue to dive down. So the fact that we finished positive on the day was a strong sign. There was actually an article that came out this morning that talked about Samsung and how they've begun shipments already. And I was happy to see it not cause any real movement in the stock. We saw a little bit, but we saw it rallied, and we definitely have set a new a new basement for the stock. You can see where we were earlier in the week, around that 370 a share kind of basement, jumped up to about 380, and now we're back up to about 410. We're in that range now. I think the fundamentals of these companies are strong. And I know as we march towards that earnings day on March 9th, we just have to keep the positive momentum going with Micron, because those earnings are going to be phenomenal, and it's going to drive this stock towards the price target of 500 or more. But it was nice to see not a big reaction to that Samsung story in the news. We know Mark Murphy came out and said they've already ramped up their HBM4. They've commenced on customer shipments. I actually saw a report today too that an analyst said that they independently verified that Micron's HBM4 did pass the 11 gigabits per second test. That's a great sign. It cements them as a key customer for NVIDIA with their Vera Rubin platform. So let's hope we can just continue with strong, but it was nice to see not the stock not react to some noise that's happening in the environment around it. We have to separate the noise from the actual signals with the stock. And the signals right now are great with Micron. Let's take a look at the other memory providers. So SanDisk is another one. I'm going to jump in and talk about Kioxia in a moment, and why that, and how tightly connected they are to SanDisk, and why that's important. But SanDisk had a great day. $31 growth on the day, over 5% they picked up in the after hours. You could see they picked up another over $8, trading closer to $6.40 a share now. That's a strong day. Western also up $10 growth on the day, just about a 4% pickup, continuing to grow in the after hours. You can see they picked up another $4 or so. We'll see what happens in the pre-market once we get going. But another $4 growth, closing in on $2.90 a share. And then finally, Seagate, a strong day, almost a $24 pickup for Seagate, 6% growth on the day. They also picked up more in the after hours, trading at about $4.35 a share, picking up another $3 plus a share. So strong performance overall for our memory players, all four of them. They broke the mold today for what we saw across the market. A lot of red, with exception to that sector of memory. Strong performance. So let's talk about why overall did they have a difference today. So a couple things. One, an independent coverage or report confirmed the fact that the HBM market, and this pertains to Micron, the HBM market is expected to have a 3x growth by 2028. So we know they're expecting a $35 billion HBM market, but now they've shifted that to a $100 billion market by 2028. That's a 3x growth, 3x increase for that particular sector. So this is a massive, for companies like Micron, this is a massive revenue visibility that exists even if the hyperscalers, begin their valuations begin to wobble. And it's confirmation that memory isn't commodity anymore. AI is absorbing huge percentage of global memory output, which keeps contract pricing and pricing power on the side of memory. And the average sales prices of memory continue to elevate, which is supporting the multi-year memory super cycle that we've talked about. But the biggest piece that helped them is the Kioxia earnings. So Kioxia came out, they had a strong quarter, but it was the guidance they gave. Analysts expected guidance to be about 4.2 billion in the next quarter. They actually increased it by 40% to 5.8 billion for the quarter, based on just the demand that they see in the marketplace and the fact that there is such a undersupply of NAND. They are completely sold out for 2026 as well. And why this had such a big impact on companies like Micron and SanDisk is SanDisk actually has a joint venture with Kioxia. Western Digital had one before the spinoff with SanDisk as well, but they just reconfirmed or extended this joint venture out through 2034. So Kioxia's strong earnings confirmed that the manufacturing efficiency in that joint plant is hitting an all-time high. They also confirmed that the NAND supply that they have for 2026 is completely sold out. So this means that SanDisk, since they rely on Kioxia for a significant portion of their supply, that means that SanDisk supply is also sold out, which is allowing them to raise prices and have more pricing power without the fear of losing a customer to a competitor. We also know that Micron, we often view Micron through high bandwidth memory and through other DRAM products, but Micron's NAND business has been a sleeper success and a sleeper hit this year. So Kioxia's report that the average selling price for NAND rose by low double digits in a single quarter. This gave investors confidence because of Micron's involvement in NAND and the fact that it's been a sleeper hit for them. It gave them confidence that the upcoming earnings that we'll see on March 19th should show a very similar margin expansion margin expansion in their storage segment. Kioxia noted that the other thing they noted, which is important, is that the industry's focus on high bandwidth, particularly from SK Hynix and Samsung, has led to an underinvestment in NAND. So this makes companies like Micron and SanDisk, with the existing NAND supply capacity and the fact that they're involved and committed to that space. We know that Micron had that fabrication in Taiwan, which is going to be purely focused on NAND. It might be Singapore, actually, but one of the two is going to be purely focused on NAND. So this makes it even more valuable. The fact that SK Hynix and Samsung is not investing there and shifting more of their investment towards high bandwidth memory. So analysts are talking about the sell side assumptions of NAND and the fact that this may cause a reevaluation or relook into companies like Micron, which could add to more of the bullish cycle confirmation that we've talked about. So in closing, guys, today just wasn't a sell-off. It was a rotation in tech. Investors moved away from expensive CapEx-weighted platform bets, and they moved towards component suppliers with clearer demand and pricing dynamics. We're seeing a structural shift overall. The market is no longer rewarding potential in software or spending in the cloud. It's rewarding supply. So if you have silicon like Micron, if you have storage like SanDisk, and if you have a sold out sign in your door all the way through 2026, you're winning in today's market. The Magnificent Seven may be just taking a brief a breather today. We know they're all down. They're great companies. They may be taking a breather, but the memory super cycle is just starting to hit its stride. Memory is outperforming, not just because of the AI hype. It's outperforming because the data on pricing, supply tightness, and future revenue is real and it's measurable. Let me know what you guys think in your comments below. Drop one down. I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear your thoughts on what you saw today in the memory sector and what you thought of the market overall. But I hope you have a great night and talk to you soon.